Great to have you with us. Now, former President John Kufuor is cautioning African countries not to hurriedly discard the idea of aid, as that can help develop and empower its citizens. Speaking on the sidelines of the graduation ceremony of the first batch of the Kufuor Scholars Program in Accra, the former president called on African leaders to acquire great negotiation skills in order to have a win-win situation when dealing with big players on the international scene. There's more in the following report.
According to former President Kufuor, it is very key for African leaders to be abreast with the happenings on the international scene in order to have a leveraging power when dealing with superpowers.
All these people coming, they are coming not just for the love of us. No, they may not even love us, but they come for what they can get from us. So what do we want from them? And it is only when they know that we know, and that we will sit and negotiate. Because it's an interdependent world. They need us, we need them. It's only on this basis they would negotiate fairly with us, and then we get what. But it means our preparing ourselves. So we negotiate with knowledge and with self-confidence.
Mr. Kufuor also believes ruling out Africa's dependence on aid for now is not feasible. He maintains that African leaders can use the aid to develop and empower themselves for the benefit of the citizenry.
It's a matter of facing, P-H-A-S-I-N-G, face. We are in a phase of development, stage B. We don't get up and say no aid. They've exploited this enough. So we take to empower ourselves, to build ourselves through education and through attracting investments, creating employment, so that it gets to a point where now when they come, they meet their equals. We have to be careful to say, oh, now we are where we won't go and ask for aid. No, we may do it, but only as just a stage to empower us.
Meanwhile, former Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Wood charged the scholars to exhibit integrity in order to succeed in their various fields of endeavor.
Our world seems to be getting hotter and less hospitable. Hence, the late Mr. Kofi Annan's observation and caution on April 18th, 2018, and I quote, "The world is messy and lacking strong leaders," adding, and I quote, "cool heads and sober judgment," end quote, "must prevail." I'm sure that Mr. Annan's strong leader is not one who knocks heads, but the one possessing those worthy virtues and principles that make the world a peaceful and better place for all. There's one key virtue I will like to emphasize that you cannot afford to miss. That's integrity. Integrity, integrity, integrity. A leader without integrity cannot succeed in leading and transforming society.
In recognition of their gratitude to the Foundation for the Training and Leadership Values, the alumni donated an amount of 7,000 Ghana cedis to the John Kufuor Foundation. The Kufuor Scholars Program was established to serve as the vehicle for preparing and grooming young people to become transformational leaders for Ghana and Africa. 14 scholars graduated from the program and were awarded certificates.
Now, away from that, the Ashanti Regional Security Council has received a report on the Fuasi shooting incident, which occurred February 7 this year. Residents of Fuasi, in protest over the relocation of the Echuma-Kwauma district capital to nearby Chedie, embarked on violent protest and besieged the assembly's premises. Police reinforcements shot sporadically into the crowd, killing 4 people. All males. Today, the Regional Security Council has set up a committee to see to the implementation of the 6-point reference report. Let's go to regional correspondent Ohiming Teria to update us on today's inauguration. Ohiming, what are some of the recommendations in the 6-point reference report?
Thank you, Daniel. The Regional Minister, Simon Mose Mensah, did indicate that the committee will have to, among others, confirm for reimbursement the sum of 100,858 Ghana cedis, being the cost of medical bills of victims. In this regard, what it means is that government will pay the medical bill of all the victims involved. And also, he says health, education, and agricultural departments are to be cited at Swansea instead of these departments being moved to Chadie as the new district capital. And then identify and recommend a compensatory project to be implemented by government at Swansea, and also fashion out and also relocate the district capital from Swansea to Chadie to be sited at the boundary closer to Swansea as it has been speculated. And now it has been confirmed that he says arrangements have also been done between the Asantehene for the release of parcel of land for this project. So these are the key among the states reference of the committee.
Now, what's the composition of this committee?
The committee is chaired by Deputy Minister for Local Government, who is also MP for New Jabe North, and among the other members include the Nkwanta Kese Ehene, as well as the Ashima Hene, and then representative of Security Council in the person of the regional BNI director, and the Chadie and Swansea communities have all their representation in the committee.
And what are their timelines?
Unfortunately, the regional minister, Simon Osemensa, when I asked him when the committee will finish the implementation, he was not able to give me details, except to say that the letter that was released to the Regional Security Council, the committee, the timeline was not stated in that letter, but it's hopeful that the work of the committee will bring lasting peace between the people of Swansea and Chadie.
Thank you very much, Ohiming Teria, for that update. Ohiming is our man in the Ashanti region. Now, it's the second year of the implementation of the free senior high school policy of government. But how have things fared with private senior high schools in the country? Richard Kojonyako pays a visit to the Sami Otu Senior High School, the first private senior high school in the central region, to look at how the policy is affecting their business. Richard reports the school that used to admit over 500 students in an academic year has only been able to admit below 100 students this year, and authorities are planning to lay off half the number of staff that work in the school.
The second year of the implementation of the free senior high school has started with the introduction of the double track system to expand the intake of students into the senior high schools. At the moment, students that belong to the green track are already in school. But what's happening in the private senior high schools in the country?
At the moment, we are admitting students all right, of course, because we are the biggest brand when it comes to private senior high school education here in the central region. But we are not getting as high a number as we used to have. This last year, we admitted 250 students, but as we speak today, a month into, or almost a month into the first term, we've not admitted even up to 100 students. And that gives an indication that if care is not taken, we would have a situation where we will not be able to pay our teachers, we will not be able to meet our bills and obligations, and we may have to try to lay off some teachers for us to simply survive.
I'm currently at the Samu Senior High School here in Cape Coast, one of the leaders in terms of private school businesses in the central region, to look at how they are coping.
Our businesses are collapsing, private schools are suffering, everybody knows that in this country. And I'm able to say this confidently because if you look at Samu Senior High School, which happens to be the biggest private senior high school in central region, with 2 campuses, which started well over 20 years ago. Today, if you walk into our campuses as you have walked in today, you find out that we have many classrooms that are not being used. We have many dormitories that are not being used. Beds are empty. It simply tells you a story. If we, the big brands in private senior high school business, in the private senior high school business, if we are suffering this way, then you can imagine what is taking place in the other smaller schools. Businesses are collapsing. We have the resources in terms of dormitories. We have classrooms. in terms of human resource, we have teachers, well-qualified teachers to handle these students. In fact, when it comes to the human resource of our school, I can tell you for a fact that no teacher here, for example, in my school, a private senior high school, no teacher is below a first degree. All my teachers have a minimum of a first degree, and even more. Almost 80% of our teachers here in Samo Senior High School, for example, are examiners of WASI. They are WASI standard examiners.
A month into the admission process, they now have about 80 people that have been admitted. Over the years, they've been admitting students, 400, 500, 600 students. Last year, they were compelled to lay off some workers of the school. This year, if you look at the numbers, the likelihood of the school laying off more workers is very high.
We have facilities that can accommodate well over 1,500 students, today being occupied by less than 500 students. It tells you the story. If government doesn't come to our aid, it is likely that come the next academic year, you may not come to find Samo Senior High School on those hills any longer. We had well over 160 members of staff. We're talking about teachers, we're talking about kitchen staff, and a few others. 160. Today, or last year, by the end of the admission season, we had to lay off almost 50% of them because our budget could simply not support, that kind of number. And I know that the issue of how much would be paid is what government has been, having difficulties with. But we have said time and again, our leadership, the CHOPS national leadership, has made it very clear to government on many occasions that we wouldn't mind taking exactly the amount of money government spends on kids that attend public schools. We will take, the same amount. We do not have any problem with that. If government pay what we have received on paper, government is spending about 1,000 cedis, 1,050 Ghana cedis on one child in the public school, in the boarding system. We are saying that here in Samo Senior High School, we are charging less than 1,050. Less than, we are charging 970 Ghana cedis.
Authorities at the private senior high schools want government to look in their direction and partner them lest their businesses would collapse in the shortest possible time. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
To the Volta region now, and residents of Sogakope say the lower Volta Bridge has become a death trap as a defective spot and dysfunctional streetlights are causing fatal accidents. Although some minor works were done at Joy News' earlier reports this year, residents say it is not enough as 2 more people have died on that stretch in less than a year. Maxwell Agbagba has been to a victim's home and has spoken to his mother.
Yeah, to vie kunye vie lasini. 20 years. Yeah, others kuma gathered. Kano ku wunu vo. Yo va po me mbinya gadita mare nyabu. Ke utrale mi no do durumala manyo. Ku mi debe na flenla moto venimi. Yo ku uhedu moto. Ke apie me le ku adu ko va forget kpakpa be. Devie a pass dentro le bridge de na mi ono anyi jele yen haja en legama ko mi be no vudu no ayi kaka mi ape uta ko mi ko ikoji enu ha makereju enu makan ye ko vinye na kuima ko enye mi telejini to gobe minya mawo mo hai melangu dolenti be a chone nya anyi meliwi halo nya mo va chi de vi ma anyi na nenti mazion la ma jedo na na kemo wo ku fie be bridge ji ku atwa iso apa plan venu ku fie be nyi maga kpo vinye hu gberegbero nyi mi tele jinye tele dubli bo katanji be bridge ye kosni ye vinye buta ye machianyi asibol ye bejanyi.
It is 6:30 p.m. and it is already pitch dark on the Sogakope Bridge. Well, many months after we reported the death of a motor rider on this stretch because of poor lighting and uneven surface of this stretch, it looks like the managers of this bridge have not done anything to save the situation. months after our reports, another person died on this stretch because he was trying to maneuver his way around the uneven stretch here on this road. Surprisingly, there's a notice here informing drivers of poor road surface and telling them to slow down. But authorities are not doing anything to change the situation here on the Suga Bridge. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba.
As you're watching Joy News today, I am Daniel. That's the story's gone by so far. Former President John Ajekunkufo has discouraged African leaders from hastily discarding foreign aid, warning their actions could cripple the development of their countries. And the Ashanti Regional Security Council has inaugurated a committee to see to the implementation of a 6-point reference report on the Fuase shooting incident, which left 4 people killed by the police in February this year. Still up ahead, we bring you the latest on the Joy News Water Project, the story of Amangoti Deke in the Agotime district of the Volta region. Stay with us. A district chief executive of the Agotime Ziofre district, David Dixon Jokpe, says the assembly will provide a new borehole for the people of Amangoti Deke. A stream from which the residents drank was converted into a small dam after the land was bought by an individual who warned them to stay away, leaving them with a dirty source of water. DCE Dixon Jokpe says he tells Joy News they will negotiate with the owner to give residents access to the dam whilst the assembly works at providing another borehole. He told Joy News' Gifty and appear earlier this year the borehole should be ready in May 2018. Listen.
I'm David Dixon Jokpe, the DCE for the Agotime Ziofre. What I did with the assembly is, in the process of our budget, we captured those facilities, borehole, that we can spread to the villages around. We did that and we catered for them. Akwete is just behind them, the barrier. Yeah, that is their main,
that's
where they come from to get into this. They get water from there.
That's very far.
Yeah, it's far. So they were anxious for a borehole. And we line up boreholes to be delivered to the various villages. I think in this first quarter, that was our plan.
Okay.
We want to do that before, because this is the real season that they need those things. From May, you see that water will start coming in.
So there's this place that they used to fetch water, this little stream to fetch water. I'm told that someone has bought the land and has prevented them from coming close. Of course, the land doesn't belong to them, so they could...
That report has not come to us in the assembly yet, but we'll check it with the assemblyman in charge.
Right. So apparently the person has bought the land and is farming
but
he has created a dam.
Okay.
But then he's warned them off. He's warned them not to come close to the dam. So
I'll follow up.
Right. But if someone has been able to at least create a dam, that's a good thing. Perhaps the authorities should commend him. But that there can also be some kind of conversation and negotiation so that the people can still benefit from the dam. Because
so now that it has not been brought to my notice, so let somebody behind them, he is rearing cows. So there's a bigger river beyond, that's the Toje River. We just had a meeting with the chiefs to permit the Fulani herdsmen to let them have access to the Toje River in the interim, where we get a place for them. So these people too will quickly have a meeting with the dam owner and see what arrangement we can do so that they can have the little water that they can use now, whilst we improvise them.
What I'm just wondering is how the district assembly, which is not so far away from the town, is able to have proper water and have a water closet and use treated water to flush the toilet. But then the people they're not far away, and they are the people that you're supposed to be serving anyway.
Yeah,
they don't have.
That's what I'm explaining to you, that the construction of the district assembly is by a contractor, and the water project is from Petue. Do you understand? They have done their job and gone. But the assembly now will take care of the villages as and when we get funds, either internally generated or from the common fund.
Now, the Chamber of Pharmacy Ghana is asking Parliament to amend the LI that gives the FDA authority to charge pharmacies $3,000 for registration, re-registration and inspection of medicines. According to the Chamber, the amount involved has been identified as the highest paid by any country in Africa. Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of a media workshop, CEO of the Chamber, Anthony Ameka, says unless a reduction is effected, pharmacies will continue to evade the payment, yet bring into the country unauthorized medications.
We are looking at the high cost of factory inspection, then the high cost of product registration and re-registration for it to be reviewed. And we think that is a huge burden, cost burden, on our members' businesses, as well as it's not in the best interest of the patient. If you look at it, it means that some people will not be motivated to register or re-register their products. And some products will also be coming to the country through unapproved routes into the country. And secondly, as a result of that, a lot of products that are in the system cannot determine whether they are genuine or not genuine products.
The FDA has, however, justified its charge. Head of Communications James Latte says some pharmacies cannot pay the amounts involved, thus the monies received are used to complement the financial gap.
It isn't that FDA is charging fees to make profits. No. It's just for us to be able to sustain ourselves and be able to protect public health and safety. Let us go to a place like the North, for instance, and some other few places in the country. These are places that we are not even generating anything much from those areas. Meanwhile, the people living there, we have to operate for their health to be protected, their safety to be protected. So you understand, you charge in a way that monies that come to you, you are able to sustain the nation as a whole. Though in some parts, they may not be paying anything much, but still they need to be sustained.
Now, away from that issue, traders at two of Accra's major markets, Agbogblesu and Malamata, are worried about what they say is the high cost of transporting foodstuffs from the farms. This follows the recent fuel price hikes. Fuel prices have shot up from an average of 4.85 Ghana cedis to 5.12 Ghana cedis at the pump. The traders say drivers are now charging more to transport food. Selinam Ampo visited a market and her report is read to you.
At the Malamata market, traders display their wares from fruit to vegetables, hoping to make good sales. There's worry, however, that many cannot afford to buy. Why? Food items have become awfully expensive as fuel prices have hiked.
The fuel increase has really affected my work. We pick the tomatoes from Kumasi and bring it here. The drivers have increased the fares, so when we also increase our prices, the customers cannot buy. We beg the government to reduce fuel prices for us. They have increased it because we used to buy these for 5 Ghana cedis. Now it is 10 cedis. When we get customers, they are unable to afford, and then they leave. The increase in fuel is really disturbing us.
When fuel prices swell, it costs more to transport food from the farm to the plates. Prices of tomatoes, onions, pepper, yams and other farm produce are experiencing the ripple effects.
Cars that brings the onion. Now when they bring the onion, it's like formerly it's cheap, but for now it's cost. We are losing customers. Because when a customer comes in, it's like you tell the person that this is 10 cedis, while the person knows it's 5 cedis. That person might be thinking that, oh, maybe he wanted to take his money or maybe cheat him.
The transport fares have increased. When we sell, we do not even make profit. We beg the government to reduce fuel prices because it is disturbing us. We used to buy a bag 480 cedis, but now it is 200 cedis. We are making a loss.
For the traders, the cost of fuel is greatly affecting the cost of many goods. Selinam Ampos report for Joy News.
You're still watching Joy News. Today, I am Daniel Daze. Let's stay with issues having to do with buying and selling. It's time to talk business. Stay with us.